There is projected to be a fourfold increase in demand for critical minerals over the next decade. To meet that need, a rare earth magnet supply chain is being created between Quebec, Canada, and Germany. This development highlights a major shift in trade relationships. Donald Trump's 35% tariff on Canadian exports outside the USMCA, introduced this August, was expected to force Canada into compliance. Instead, Canada adjusted selectively, scaling back counter tariffs on some goods while maintaining strict protection for steel, aluminum, and autos. This move sent a clear message. Ottawa would not surrender leverage, and instead began opening doors to Europe, using its vast reserves of copper, lithium, and rare earth minerals to build new alliances. What began as a tariff battle quickly transformed into an opportunity for Canada to convert resources into strategic power. Germany, already moving to diversify away from China and Russia, saw Canada as an ideal partner. This strategy was showcased during Mark Carney's European tour in August, where Berlin became the key stop. Canada and Germany signed a joint declaration to expand cooperation on critical minerals, the very raw materials required for electric vehicles, clean energy, and defense technologies. Leveraging the comprehensive economic and trade agreement, Canada gained preferential access to European markets and accelerated new projects in copper, lithium, and rare earths. For Germany, this partnership was essential after severing energy ties with Russia. For Canada, it was a counterbalance to Washington's tariffs and a way to anchor its trade with Europe's largest economy. Concrete deals followed. In Berlin, Troy Gold, a Canadian mining company, secured a long-term copper supply contract with Arabis a German smelting and recycling group. Tornit Metals in Quebec partnered with VAC, a global leader in rare earth magnets, creating a direct Canada-Germany supply chain vital for clean energy and defense. RockTech Lithium, a Canadian-German venture, expanded its lithium projects to support Europe's decarbonization efforts. These agreements demonstrated that Canada was not only announcing partnerships but also building lasting trade flows to sustain a rare earth alliance. Industry analysts point to a quadrupling of global demand for critical minerals by 2035. Canada's early action positions it as a secure supplier at a time when US tariffs are causing instability. Trump's approach has been blunt and confrontational. Canada's response has been strategic, turning critical minerals into leverage. The difference is clear. Tariffs disrupt, while partnerships create predictability. By strengthening ties with Germany and the wider European Union, Canada is setting its own course, building influence in negotiations with Washington. Trump may dominate headlines, but Canada holds assets that cannot be ignored: copper, lithium, and rare earth magnets, the building blocks of the future economy. As of September 1st, Canada will remove tariffs on US goods that comply with the USMCA, while maintaining countermeasures on steel, aluminum, and autos. Trade Minister Dominic LeBlanc emphasizes this is not retreat but a tactical reset. Canada remains the single largest customer for US goods in many critical sectors. Canadian imports support American farmers, energy suppliers, and manufacturers every day. Beyond trade, Canadian pension funds hold more than $1 trillion in American assets, with the potential to expand by another $100 billion annually. The United States also relies on Canadian oil for nearly 4 million barrels per day and Canadian uranium for over a quarter of its supply. These realities underscore that Canada retains significant leverage. Critics fear Canada is conceding too much, citing earlier compromises on digital services taxes, defense commitments, and border enforcement. They argue concessions embolden Trump to demand more. However, independent economists see Canada's recalibration as pragmatic. Retaliatory tariffs were driving up costs for Canadian families and small businesses, especially in food and clothing. Removing them eases inflationary pressures while strengthening Canada's credibility by aligning with US executive orders that preserve USMCA-compliant trade. The tougher test lies in the sectors still targeted. US tariffs on steel and aluminum are hitting Quebec and Ontario hard, while auto tariffs strain North American supply chains. Trump has long argued automobiles should be built exclusively in the United States, making this the most contentious fight. Yet Canada retains leverage. Its energy exports power US refineries and grids, and its mineral resources are critical for new technologies. Carney's decision to lift tariffs on compliant goods lowered tensions, relieved consumers, and narrowed the conflict to the sectors that matter most. The standoff now contrasts Trump's escalation with Carney's strategic patience, a contest that will shape not only US-Canada relations but the foundation of North America's economy. Trump's global tariff wave, activated August 7, imposed duties of 10 to 50% on imports from more than 90 countries, pushing U.S. average import rates to the highest levels since the Great Depression. Canada was among the earliest targets. The goal was to pressure multiple partners at once and extract concessions. But instead, the costs have rebounded onto U.S. consumers. New car prices are projected to rise between 4 and 8%. Ford has already paid about $1 billion in tariff costs, raising prices on models built in Mexico. Shoe prices are expected to climb nearly 40%, clothing by more than 30%, while Procter & Gamble confirmed it will raise prices on household goods. Everyday staples, from European olive oil to Brazilian coffee and Mexican aluminum for beer cans, are becoming more expensive. Retailers like Walmart have warned that higher shelf prices are unavoidable. In contrast, Canada has reinforced unity at home. Ontario Premier Doug Ford pushed for clear origin labeling to promote Canadian-made goods. This domestic alignment strengthened Ottawa's negotiating hand abroad. By targeting tariffs on U.S. goods linked to influential industries while diversifying trade with Europe, the UK, and Mexico, Canada turned defense into offense. Trump's attempt to force Canada into submission instead elevated Ottawa's role as an independent player with global options. Carney's long-term strategy goes deeper. Rather than mirror Trump's aggression, he has accelerated mining approvals through the One Canadian Economy Act, reduced regulatory delays, and encouraged domestic refining. Canada's reserves of lithium, cobalt, nickel, copper, and rare earth elements are among the largest in the world, but much remains untapped. By building not only extraction but refining and processing capacity, Canada is moving to become a full supply chain hub, reducing dependence on China. Early examples, like Electrovaya exporting high-performance lithium-ion batteries, showcase this new industrial model. Meanwhile, the contradictions in Washington are stark. Trump pressures Canada with tariffs while simultaneously considering buying rare earth minerals from Russia and struggling with China's retaliatory export restrictions. Tesla, Ford, and Suzuki have already faced production disruptions. In this environment, Canada emerges as the stable, democratic, resource-rich neighbor the US needs most. By refusing to retaliate impulsively, Ottawa is turning minerals into instruments of national power. Trump's tariff-first strategy may deliver short-term political headlines, but Carney's approach seeks long-term indispensability. Canada's message is clear. While the US uses pressure, Canada is building strength through resources, partnerships, and patience. In this trade war, Canada is no longer just reacting. It is shaping the board. The outcome will not only define the next chapter of US-Canada relations but also determine who controls the resources at the heart of the global economy. This is True State Report. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.